last week in reading, we discussed bones and the skeleton and all that fun stuff. This week, when we move on for reading, we're going to shift focus a little bit. So we only have 3 days this week. And I'm pretty sure, I could be a little bit wrong, I'm pretty sure all of our 3 days focus in on a new human body system. Do you guys remember what it is?
Muscular system.
The muscular system. So I'm going to pull up our vocabulary words, and we'll go over our vocabulary words, and then we'll do our read aloud. We're going to try and speed through our stuff today so that you guys can have plenty of time for our reading. Does that sound good? Perfect. Unit 3, Human Body Systems and Senses. The Human Body Systems and Senses, day 5. Our words today start with cardiac muscle. So cardiac muscle is going to be muscular tissue. Remember, what makes up tissue? Cells. And cells make up tissue. Tissue makes up organs. Very good. So muscular tissue is going to come together, and muscular tissue of the heart, and it contracts rhythmically and continuously. So when we're talking about that cardiac muscle, we're talking about the muscles within our heart. So everybody put your hand over your heart. When we're talking about cardiac muscles, we're talking about the muscles within our heart, and they contract rhythmically. So we talked about that the other week, that we could kind of feel them, right? You can feel your heartbeat a little bit. We'll take a quick pause so you can feel it. Yep, some of you feel it in your wrist. You usually feel it in your neck. Don't squeeze your neck, though. It's their artery.
You find it right here.
That contracting, it contracts, and we're going to talk about that word in a little bit. Rhythmically and continuously. Got it. Rhythmically and continuously. So it's happening constantly, and it's happening in a pattern, okay? The pattern will obviously speed up as you're working harder, and it slows down as your body is at rest. Yes, Aiden.
One time, I did something and I felt my heart beating with my eye.
Yep. So you can, and then you probably worked harder in order to be able to feel it in your eyes. You can feel it in lots of cool places, but we're going to keep moving on from it because we have a lot to do with it. Does that sound good? Okay, so our next word we have is contract. So we just saw this in our last one where cardiac muscle tissue, it contracts rhythmically and continuously. So that word contract, it means to bring together, to shorten, to tighten. So in our image here, which is kind of cool, is I pulled up a contracted muscle. This one right here, this lower muscle that we see right here, this is it relaxed. So if your arm is sitting down, it's relaxed. In order to contract your muscle, it's bringing together and it's shortening. So that muscle that's right there on your arm, when you bring it forwards, it comes together and it pulls tight, okay? Which is interesting then, because then you have a relaxed tricep. So when you bring your arm in, your bicep muscle that's right here is going to contract, shorten, tighten, and this is going to be elongated again. But if you release your arm, this is going to be relaxed. Your bicep is relaxed. And then this back here is going to tighten. It shortens up. So you can kind of see that there. That contracting is going to be that shortening, that tightening. Our next word is muscles. And we have in our image here, muscles are going to be body tissue. And we know body tissue is made up of? Tissue is made up of? Cells. Body tissue is made up of long cells. So these are kind of cool because tissues or muscular tissue is made up of something, their cells are very specific. They're long and they can contract or tighten and relax in order to produce motion. So we just talked about the contracting. Everybody contracts those bicep muscles. These are these muscles right here in your arms. You shorten them, you tighten them. Everybody relax them. When you're doing this though, between that contracting and bringing your muscles together and relaxing them, it's causing movement in your body. You can do the same thing with your face. Everybody smile. In order to smile, you have to contract or tighten some muscles and some relax. Everybody frown. It actually takes more muscles to contract in order to frown. Kind of cool. And our next word is nerves. And we've talked a little bit about nerves. We'll talk a little bit more today. But these are a bundle of fibers throughout the body, and they transmit sensations, information, and instructions to the brain and to the spinal cord. So they go, this is kind of that system you see on it. It looks like tree branches all over, right? we talked about when we focus in on our skeletal system, we have our axle bones down the middle. That spinal cord kind of acts as the trunk, just like the axle bones would. And then from there, it branches off throughout your whole body, being able to transmit signals back to your brain and spinal cord. And last but not least, we have voluntary muscles. Now, this is, I must really like this one. It's fine. The voluntary muscles, these are muscles that can be controlled by one's own choice. So there are involuntary muscles and there are voluntary muscles, and we're going to talk about that today. But voluntary muscles are muscles that can be controlled by one's own choice. So everybody take that arm again and flex that arm. You just controlled with that, whether you're showing me your flex or you're just holding your arm up. Doesn't matter. It's contracting that muscle. You have chosen that muscle's movement. Put your arms out straight. You're choosing those muscles' movements. You're telling your arms what to do. Touch your head. You're telling your body what to do when you're doing those. Those muscles are making those choices because you are telling your body to. Do you have to tell your heart what to do?
No.
So your heart is a non-example of a voluntary muscle. I don't tell my heart what to do. We know it's made up of cardiac muscles, but I'm not saying beat, 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 right? It's involuntary. So we have those muscles where we tell them what to do, we control them, and then we have muscles that we don't do that with. And we'll learn a little bit about both today. Perfect. Okay. Which system are bones in? Which system are bones in? Which system are bones in? What are the different types of joints we talked about last week? What are the different types? Remember, there are 3 types, and then we get more specific from there. Claire, what's one type of joint? We have now ball joints are specific. They're getting more specific. So we narrowed it down to 3, and then within those there are some more. So ball joints and hinge joints, right? Those belong to one type. What type was that? So we discussed it a little bit. We said 3 types of joints. Claire gave us that example of a ball and socket joint. Claire, can you tell us what group that fits in? That's okay. Haley. Good. Those are going to be the movable joints. So Claire mentioned the ball and socket joints and the hinge joints. Those are the movable. Those are the joints that are movable, right? So our knees, our necks, our arms, our hips, those are all movable joints. Good. What other kind is there? Right. Partially movable. So those are going to be like our fingers. I can't bend them all the way back and swing them around like I can my arms, but I can definitely move them, right? What other partially movable ones did we talk about? Charlie? Not our shoulder. Those are going to be more of those movable ones. Griffin?
Your ribs.
Your rib cage. Remember, they're made so that they can move a little bit. Good. And what other kind of joints do we have? Grayson, sorry. Immovable joints. Those joints that don't move at all. Very good. Why are cartilage, and actually let's start there. Why is cartilage? What does it do and why is it important to bones? Cartilage. Remember that we talked about last week? It was one of our words. What do you think, Joey?
It's important to the bones because if they have cartilage on them, and if they didn't have them, the bones would just be rubbing against each other.
Fabulous. Everybody take your hands like this. These are going to be the ends of the bones. Go ahead and put them together. If they were rubbing, what's going to happen?
It's going to wear out.
It's going to start to wear out. So what's between those bones? Cartilage. And it actually kind of just separates them a little bit. It gives them a little bit of room. It makes it easier and smoother for them to move around, right? So if your hands are apart a little bit, are they going to be able to wear out as easy? No. Very good. We do have cartilage as well. That's not just between the bones. We talked about our nose and our ears are cartilage as well, but that's going to act as a different type of cartilage. We also have cartilage between the bones. Aiden, get it provided. I don't want to see it. Then that's going to keep them from wearing out. So then ligaments. What do ligaments do and why are they important to the skeletal system? Kyler.
They attach the bones. They connect them together.
Fabulous. Ligaments attach bone to bone. So the example we looked at last week was down in our ankles. We have a lot of little bones down there that need to be able to wiggle around as they connect. And so ligaments are attaching bone to bone, and they kind of connect with it. We have different types of ligaments. We have some that are flat, and long. We have some that are more round, like a piece of rope. And they all have different jobs as they attach bone to bone. Very good. What are the building blocks of life? Remember, building blocks of life. What are they? They are our
Cells.
Oh, those of you remember them. They are our
Cells.
cells. Cells make up
Tissue
and tissue makes up our organs. Very good. Today we are going to start our reading on the muscular system. And before we do, I want us to fill out our KWL chart, our Know, Wonder, Learn chart for the muscular system. So go ahead and take out your activity notebook. Mine is already up. Don't know what I'm doing. Go ahead and take out your activity notebook. And if you guys go to page 2, we have our KWL for the muscular system. And what I want you to do is take 5 minutes to go ahead and fill out what you know about the muscular system and some questions that you guys have as we go through. Sound good? So this is a great place to write those questions down. Some things you already know. 5 minutes to write down the K and the W. Are we writing down the L yet? No, because if you've already learned something, whether it was now or within the past few days, put that in the no. Okay? We will put down the learned later after we've done a few days of reading. So fill out your K for no, your W for wonder, for the muscular system.